What if the reason everything affects you is not because life is too powerful, but because you have given too many people, problems and opinions access to your heart? One comment changes your mood, one delay creates anxiety, one rejection steals your peace. Today you will learn how to stop carrying everything so deeply, control your reactions, and trust Allah with what you cannot change. 1. Stop giving every situation access to your heart. Not everything that happens around you deserves permission to disturb what is happening within you. A careless comment, a delayed reply, a misunderstanding, a rejection, or someone's bad mood can enter your mind and remain there for hours if you allow it. The more attention you give to every small incident, the more emotionally exhausted you become. Some people speak from their own pain, insecurity, jealousy, or frustration, and their behavior may have very little to do with you. Yet when you take everything personally, you carry burdens that were never yours to hold. Protecting your heart does not mean becoming cold or ignoring real problems. It means learning which situations require a response and which ones deserve silence. Before reacting, pause and ask yourself whether this matter will still be important tomorrow, next week, or next year. Do not allow temporary emotions to steal lasting peace. A strong believer understands that silence can be wiser than argument, distance can be healthier than explanation, and patience can be more powerful than revenge. When you trust Allah to deal with what you cannot control, you stop giving every person and every situation the authority to control your inner peace. 2. Do not depend on people for your peace. Your peace becomes dangerously fragile when it depends on how other people treat you. A kind message can make your entire day feel beautiful, while one cold reply, one change in tone, or one moment of distance can suddenly leave you anxious and broken. This happens when you unknowingly give people control over your emotional state. You begin waiting for their attention, approval, reassurance, and affection before allowing yourself to feel secure. But people are human. Their moods change, their priorities shift, and sometimes they disappoint you without understanding how deeply their actions affect you. This is why your heart must depend on Allah before it depends on anyone else. Love people, appreciate them, and treat them well, but never make them responsible for your inner stability. Build your peace through salah, remembrance, gratitude, patience, and trust in Allah's plan. When your connection with Allah becomes stronger, you stop collapsing every time someone becomes distant. Their silence may hurt, but it will not destroy you. Their rejection may disappoint you, but it will not define your worth. Real freedom begins when you understand that people can add happiness to your life, but they should never become the foundation of your peace. 3. Stop taking everything personally. Not every silence is rejection, not every disagreement is disrespect, and not every change in someone's behavior means you have done something wrong. Yet when your heart is already tired, your mind can turn small moments into painful stories. A delayed reply becomes proof that someone no longer cares. A serious expression feels like hidden anger. A simple correction feels like a personal attack. Soon, you are suffering because of assumptions rather than reality. The truth is that people often behave according to what they are carrying inside themselves. They may be stressed, distracted, emotionally exhausted, or fighting private battles you know nothing about. Their mood is not always a message about your worth. Learn to pause before deciding what someone's behavior means. Do not let fear interpret every situation for you. Ask questions when clarity is necessary, but stop creating painful conclusions without evidence. Taking everything personally gives strangers, relatives, and even careless people too much control over your emotions. Your value does not decrease because someone misunderstood you, ignored you, or failed to appreciate you. Allah knows your intentions, your effort, and the truth inside your heart. When you remember this, you stop exhausting yourself by trying to control everyone's opinion and begin protecting your peace with wisdom. 4. Control your reaction before it controls you. You cannot control every word people speak, every decision they make, or every unexpected situation that enters your life. but you can learn to control what happens inside you before your emotions take control of everything. Many people do not lose their peace because of what happened. They lose it because of the way they reacted in the first few moments. One careless comment can produce hours of anger. One misunderstanding can create days of overthinking. And one painful moment can lead to a decision that damages an important relationship. The event may last only a few seconds, but an uncontrolled reaction can leave consequences that remain for years. Your first emotion is natural, but it does not have to become your final response. You may feel angry, disappointed, embarrassed, or hurt, but feeling something does not mean you must immediately act upon it. When emotions are intense, the mind often searches for the fastest way to release pressure. You may want to send a harsh message, raise your voice, expose someone's mistake, walk away forever, or prove that you cannot be disrespected. In that moment, reacting may feel powerful, but afterward, you may realize that your emotions made a decision your wisdom would never have chosen. This is why a strong believer creates distance between what happens and how they respond. Before speaking, pause. Before replying, breathe. Before making a serious decision, allow the emotion to settle. Make wudu, pray, remember Allah, or quietly step away from the situation until you can think clearly. A few minutes of patience can protect you from months of regret. Silence in an emotional moment is not weakness. Sometimes silence is the highest form of control, because it prevents anger from speaking words your heart does not truly mean. Anger is especially dangerous because it makes temporary feelings appear permanent. In anger, a small mistake can look like complete betrayal. A disagreement can feel like hatred. A correction can feel like humiliation. When anger enters, it does not ask what is fair. It demands that you defend yourself immediately. But you do not have to obey every feeling that rises within you. You can notice your anger without becoming controlled by it. You can admit that you are hurt without turning that hurt into cruelty. You can disagree without insulting, and you can protect your dignity without destroying another person's dignity. Controlling your reaction does not mean accepting injustice or allowing people to repeatedly mistreat you. It means choosing the right response instead of the loudest response. You can set boundaries calmly. You can leave an unhealthy situation without creating chaos. You can speak the truth without losing your character. You can say no without hatred. And you can defend yourself without becoming like the person who hurt you. Real strength is not proving that nobody can challenge you. Real strength is refusing to let someone else's behavior pull you away from the person Allah wants you to become. Fear can also control your reactions. When something goes wrong, the mind often imagines the worst possible ending. A small problem becomes a disaster. A delay becomes a failure, and uncertainty becomes proof that everything is falling apart. Under fear, people panic, make rush choices, and lose confidence in Allah's plan. But not every difficult moment is a sign that your life is being destroyed. Sometimes it is only a test, asking you to slow down, remain patient, and respond with faith rather than panic. Overthinking works in the same way. It takes one moment and repeats it until the pain becomes greater than the event itself. You replay what someone said, imagine what they meant, and create conversations that never happened. Your body remains in the present, but your mind keeps returning to a moment you cannot change. The more you replay it, the more emotional power you give it. At some point, you must decide that the situation has already taken enough from you. You cannot change the past by thinking about it more, but you can protect your future by refusing to let it control your next decision. Ask yourself 3 questions before reacting. Is my response necessary? Is it wise? Will I be proud of it when I am calm? These questions create space for maturity. They remind you that every situation does not require an immediate answer. Some messages can wait. Some arguments are not worth entering. Some people are looking for a reaction because your reaction gives them power. When you remain composed, you refuse to hand them control over your emotions. There will also be moments when you need to apologize for a reaction that went too far. Do not let pride prevent you from correcting yourself. Strength is not pretending that you never make mistakes. Strength is recognizing when anger, fear, or hurt controlled you and choosing to repair the damage. A sincere apology does not make you small. It proves that your character matters more to you than protecting your ego. Train yourself to respond slowly and wisely in small situations, because those habits will protect you during bigger trials. When someone interrupts you, remain patient. When a plan changes, adapt without complaining immediately. When you receive criticism, listen before becoming defensive. When a person misunderstands you, explain yourself once without begging to be believed. Every small act of self-control strengthens your ability to remain steady when life becomes difficult. Remember that your reaction reveals what is ruling your heart in that moment. If anger rules you, anger will speak. If fear rules you, fear will decide. But when faith rules your heart, you become calmer, more thoughtful, and more careful with your words. You remember that Allah sees the situation completely, even when you only see one painful part of it. You understand that you do not need to win every argument, correct every misunderstanding, or respond to every insult. Your responsibility is not to control everyone else. Your responsibility is to protect your character. The goal is not to become emotionless. You are human, and you will still feel deeply. The goal is to stop allowing temporary emotions to produce permanent damage. Feel the anger, but do not let it speak recklessly. Feel the sadness, but do not let it convince you that hope is gone. Feel the disappointment, but do not let it destroy your trust in Allah. Your emotions may visit your heart, but they should not be allowed to rule it. When you control your reaction, you take back your power. People may still behave badly, situations may still become difficult, and life may still surprise you, but you no longer allow every event to determine who you become. You respond with patience instead of panic, wisdom instead of impulse, and faith instead of fear. That is emotional strength. That is discipline. And that is how you protect your peace before one uncontrolled moment steals it from you. 5. Trust Allah with what you cannot change. There will be moments in life when you have done everything you could, yet the result still does not go the way you hoped. You may pray sincerely, work hard, remain patient, and try to make the right decisions, but a door still closes. Someone may leave without giving you the explanation you deserve. A plan you were certain about may suddenly collapse. A relationship may change, an opportunity may disappear, or a situation may remain unresolved, no matter how much you think about it. These moments are difficult because the heart naturally wants control. It wants clear answers, predictable outcomes, and immediate relief. But faith is often tested precisely when control is taken away from you. You must understand that not everything in your life is yours to manage. Some matters belong completely to Allah. Your responsibility is to make sincere effort, seek guidance, act with wisdom, and remain patient. The final result is not in your hands. When you forget this, you begin carrying a burden that was never meant for you. You replay every decision, blame yourself for everything that went wrong, and imagine that one different action could have changed the entire outcome. Sometimes reflection is helpful, but endless regret is not. Learn from your mistakes, correct what you can, and then stop punishing yourself for what Allah did not allow to remain. Trusting Allah does not mean that you will never feel sadness or confusion. It does not mean pretending that loss does not hurt. You may cry, feel disappointed, and need time to heal. Faith does not remove your humanity. It gives your pain direction. It reminds you that your suffering is not meaningless, and that one painful chapter does not represent your entire story. You can feel hurt without believing that Allah has abandoned you. You can feel uncertain without losing hope. You can grieve what you lost while still trusting that Allah knows why it could not stay. Many people lose their peace because they keep fighting a reality that has already happened. They mentally return to the same moment and ask, why did this happen to me? They imagine how life would look if a person had stayed, if an opportunity had worked out, or if a mistake had never been made. But the past cannot be changed through constant resistance. The more you argue with what has already occurred, the more power you give it over your present. Acceptance does not mean approving of everything that happened. It means recognizing that the event is now part of your story and deciding that it will not control the rest of your life. Sometimes Allah changes your direction because the path you wanted was not safe for your heart, your faith, or your future. You may only see the door that closed, while Allah sees what was waiting behind it. You may only see the person you lost, while Allah sees the pain that relationship would have caused later. You may only see the delay, while Allah sees that you are not yet ready for what you are requesting. Human vision is limited to the present moment, but Allah's knowledge includes what has passed, what is happening now, and everything that is still ahead. This is why a disappointment can become protection, a rejection can become redirection, a delay can become preparation. At first, you may not understand any of it. You may even feel that life is moving against you, but later, when your heart becomes stronger and the full picture begins to appear, you may realize that Allah was not denying you. He was saving you from something you could not see, or preparing you for something you were not yet ready to carry. One of the hardest things to accept is that some answers may never come in the way you want them. You may never fully understand why someone treated you badly. You may never receive the apology you deserve. You may never know why a certain prayer was not answered according to your expectations. If your peace depends on receiving an explanation from every person and understanding every decision of Allah immediately, your heart will remain trapped. Sometimes healing begins when you stop waiting for closure from people and start seeking peace from Allah. Do not make your recovery dependent on someone admitting that they hurt you. Do not wait for another person to explain your worth back to you. Their inability to recognize your value does not reduce it. Their silence does not erase the truth. Their absence does not mean your life has lost its purpose. Allah knows what happened, what was said, what was hidden, and how deeply it affected you. When no one else understands your pain, Allah understands it completely. That knowledge should help you release the need to prove your side to everyone. Trust also requires you to stop measuring Allah's care only through comfortable outcomes. When you receive what you want, it is easy to say that Allah is good. The deeper test comes when your prayer appears unanswered, when the waiting becomes long, or when the result is opposite to what you expected. In those moments, remind yourself that Allah's wisdom is not limited by your understanding. You may dislike something that carries hidden mercy, and you may desire something that would eventually disturb your peace. Your heart may ask, why would Allah allow this pain? Sometimes the answer is growth. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is purification, redirection, or an invitation to return to Him. Pain often reveals where your heart has become too attached to people, plans, or worldly expectations. It shows you what you believed you could not live without. Then, slowly, Allah teaches you that you can survive the loss, rebuild your life, and become stronger than you were before. There are trials that remove false confidence and replace it with real reliance on Allah. Before the difficulty, you may believe that your security comes from a person, a job, a plan, or your own ability. When that support disappears, you feel completely lost. But this emptiness can become the beginning of a stronger connection with Allah. You begin making dua with greater sincerity. Your prayers become more meaningful. You stop turning to people first and begin turning to your Creator. What initially felt like destruction can become spiritual awakening. When something is beyond your control, focus carefully on what remains within your control. You can control the way you speak, the choices you make, the effort you give, the boundaries you establish, and the attitude you carry. You can choose prayer over panic, patience over impulsiveness, and gratitude over constant complaint. You cannot control whether someone appreciates you, but you can control whether you continue sacrificing your dignity for their approval. You cannot control when a door opens, but you can continue preparing yourself so you are ready when the right opportunity arrives. Trusting Allah is not passive. It does not mean sitting still while refusing to take responsibility. Tie your camel, make your effort, seek advice, solve what can be solved, and then release the outcome. Work with excellence, but do not worship the result. Plan carefully, but remember that Allah may write a different path. Ask for what you desire, but also ask Allah to remove it if it is harmful for you. True trust means wanting Allah's wisdom more than you want your own plan. There will be days when the uncertainty feels heavy. On those days, do not demand answers from the future. Focus on the next right step. Pray the next salah. Complete the next responsibility. Make the next wise decision. You do not need to see the entire road to continue walking. Allah often gives guidance one step at a time because He wants you to remain close to Him throughout the journey. Do not let uncertainty convince you that nothing is happening. Seeds grow beneath the ground long before anything becomes visible. In the same way, Allah may be arranging circumstances, changing hearts, strengthening your character, and preparing opportunities while you see no outward movement. Silence does not mean abandonment. Delay does not mean denial. Just because you cannot see the plan does not mean there is no plan. Be careful not to compare your timeline with someone else's. You may see people receiving what you have been praying for and begin wondering why your turn has not arrived. But you do not know their full story, their private tests, or the responsibility that came with their blessing. Allah deals with every person according to perfect knowledge. Your delay is not proof that you are forgotten. Your path may simply require a different preparation. Sometimes Allah delays a blessing because your current version would not know how to protect it. He may be building patience before giving you responsibility, wisdom before giving you influence, discipline before giving you success, or emotional maturity before bringing the right relationship into your life. What feels like waiting may actually be training. Do not waste that season by becoming bitter. Use it to become the person who can carry the answer when it arrives. You should also learn to recognize when repeated disappointment is asking you to release something. Faith is not stubborn attachment to one outcome. Sometimes you keep praying for a person, opportunity, or plan because you are afraid to imagine life without it. But Allah may be showing you through repeated signs that this path is not meant for you. Surrender does not mean giving up on hope. It means placing your hope in Allah rather than one specific result. Say to yourself, if this is good for me, Allah can bring it closer. If it is harmful, Allah can remove it. Either way, I will not lose my faith. This mindset creates emotional freedom. You no longer feel that your entire future depends on one person saying yes, one opportunity working out, or one plan happening exactly as expected. You know that Allah has countless ways to bless you, including ways you have never imagined. Trust becomes stronger through remembrance. When fear rises, remind yourself of the times Allah helped you before. Remember the difficulties you thought you would never survive. At one point, you believed those moments would break you, yet you are still here. You grew, learned, and continued. The same Allah who carried you through previous storms has not lost the power to carry you through this one. Speak to Allah honestly. Tell Him that you are tired, confused, and afraid. Dua does not require perfect words. It requires sincerity. Ask for strength if the situation must remain, guidance if you need to act, patience if you must wait, and protection if what you desire is harmful. Sometimes the greatest answer to a prayer is not a changed situation, but a changed heart, one that can remain calm even while the situation is uncertain. Do not underestimate the peace that comes from saying, Allah knows, even when I do not. Those words release you from the impossible task of understanding everything immediately. They remind you that your life is not being guided by chance. There is wisdom even in what you cannot explain. There is mercy even in what you would not have chosen. Eventually, every believer must decide whether they will trust only when life makes sense or trust because Allah is worthy of trust. The second kind of faith is deeper. It remains when the road is unclear, when people leave, when plans fail, and when the answer is delayed. It does not deny the pain, but it refuses to let pain become disbelief. When you truly trust Allah with what you cannot change, your heart begins to rest. You stop forcing people to stay, stop chasing explanations, and stop trying to control every outcome. You make your effort, learn your lesson, and place the rest in Allah's hands. You understand that what is written for you will reach you, and what passes you was never meant to become your permanent home. Some chapters will end without your permission, but your story will continue. Some doors will close, but Allah can open better ones. Some people will leave, but Allah can replace their absence with peace, wisdom, and stronger faith. What looks like an ending may be the moment your real growth begins. Release what you cannot control. Stop fighting yesterday. Stop fearing tomorrow. Do what is right today and leave the unseen to Allah. Your peace will not come from controlling every part of your life. It will come from knowing that the one who controls it is wiser, kinder, and more merciful than you could ever fully understand. Your peace is too valuable to be controlled by every opinion, every disappointment, and every situation you cannot change. You may not control how people treat you, what they say, or which doors close, but you can control what you allow to remain in your heart. Stop carrying what belongs in Allah's hands. Protect your character, choose your reactions wisely, and trust that every delay, loss, and difficult moment has a purpose beyond what you can currently see. The moment you stop reacting to everything is the moment you begin taking your power back. Let people misunderstand you. Let temporary problems pass. Let Allah handle what is beyond your control. Keep your heart connected to Allah, because when your peace comes from Him, the world may shake around you, but it will no longer be able to shake what is within you.